Serbian-Bosnian Genocide, 1992 to 1995. Bosnia, Europe. Information. Bosnia, a country in southeastern Europe located on the Balkan Peninsula, whose capital is Sarajevo, and by far its largest city. Bordered by Croatia to the north, west and south, with Serbia to the east. Bosnia is rich in natural resources. These resources include large tracts of arable land, extensive forests, and valuable deposits of minerals such as salt, manganese, silver, lead, copper, iron ore, chromium, and coal. Air pollution from metallurgical plants, water shortages, and poor or failing sanitation services are a few of the problems facing the country. But the destruction of its infrastructure because of the civil war that took place from 1992 to 1995 is the most pressing current issue. Most activity since the war's end has been concentrated on restoring basic needs and services, rather than addressing environmental problems directly. Quick briefing. Ethnicity. Bosnia's major ethnic groups are Bosnian Muslims, Serbs, and Croats. Since 1994, Bosnian Muslims, long considered an ethnic group, have officially been known as Bosniaks. A small number of Roma Gypsies also live in Bosnia. In the 1991 census, prior to independence, Muslims represented 44% of the population, Serbs 31%, Croats 17%, Yugoslavs, people of mixed Muslim, Serb, and Croat ancestry 6%, and others 2%. The Yugoslav identity claimed in 1991 was abandoned when Yugoslavia broke up. In 2003, the government estimated that Bosniaks constituted 73% of the population, Croats 22%, and Serbs 4%. The primary difference among the largest ethnic groups is religion, the Serbs being traditionally Orthodox Christians and the Croats Roman Catholics. The Bosniaks, descendants of Slavs who converted to Islam in the 15th and 16th centuries, are generally Sunni Muslims. Bosnia also has a small number of Jews. Quick briefing. Before the genocide. In 1991, former country Yugoslavia dissolved under the pressures of economic issues, ethnic conflict, and the manipulative approach of Serbian President Slobodan Milosevic. The secession of Slovenia and Croatia triggered warfare in both new nations, with the United Nations inserting a peacekeeping force in mid-1992 to stabilize the situation. Bosnia's declaration of independence from Yugoslavia in 1992 raised the violence to a new level, triggering a war that lasted over 3 years. Quick briefing. Before the genocide continued, the population of Bosnia-Herzegovina was comprised of 3 ethnic groups: Serbian, Croatian, and Muslim. Initially, Croats and Serbs expanded their territorial control at the expense of the Bosnian state, with the Serbs, supported by Serbia and the Yugoslav National Army (JNA), eventually controlling about 70% of Bosnia-Herzegovina. The shifts in territorial control were accompanied by widespread ethnic cleansing. Genocide, the starting point. Although many different ethnic and religious groups had resided together for 40 years under Yugoslavia's repressive communist government, this changed when the country began to collapse. These breakaway republics declared independence, and war quickly followed between them and Serbia. People who had been living peacefully together for years turned against each other and took up arms. Slobodan Milosevic invaded with the claim that it was there to free fellow Serbian Orthodox Christians living in Bosnia. Genocide, in the process. Starting in April 1992, Serbia set out to ethnically cleanse Bosnian territory by systematically removing all Bosnian Muslims, known as Bosniaks. Serbia, together with ethnic Bosnian Serbs, attacked Bosniaks with former Yugoslavian military equipment and surrounded Sarajevo, the capital city. Many Bosniaks were driven into concentration camps, where women and girls were systematically gang-raped and other civilians were tortured, starved and murdered. Genocide, in the process, continued. In 1993, the United Nations (UN) Security Council declared that Sarajevo, Gorazde, Srebrenica and other Muslim enclaves were to be safe areas, protected by a contingent of UN peacekeepers. But in July 1995, Serbs committed the largest massacre in Europe since World War II in one such area, Srebrenica. An estimated 23,000 women, children and elderly people were put on buses and driven to Muslim-controlled territory, while 8,000 battle-age men were detained and slaughtered. The so-called safe area of Srebrenica fell without a single shot fired by the UN. Genocide, closing. In 1994, NATO initiated airstrikes against Bosnian Serbs to stop the attacks. In December 1995, U.S.-led negotiations in Dayton, Ohio, the Dayton Peace Accords, ended the conflict in Bosnia, and a force was created to maintain the ceasefire. Since the end of the conflict, the International Criminal Tribunal for Yugoslavia, ICTY, at The Hague has charged more than 160 persons. Convictions have included Serb, Croat and Bosniaks, though Serbians and Bosnian Serbs have faced the majority of charges. In 2001, former President Milosevic was captured, but he died in his cell in 2006. Radovan Karadzic, the supreme commander of the Bosnian Serb Armed Forces, was captured in 2008 and is being tried in The Hague on genocide charges. Ratko Mladic, Chief of Staff of the Bosnian Serb Army, was captured in May 2011 and is charged with 11 counts, including genocide and crimes against humanity.